I'm sorry, what does the Quran teach about Israel? I know I took too much time. I'm taking my liberty. Forgive me. If you need to stand up and stretch, you can do whatever you want to do. But I really want to finish. Since we are recording, we might as well finish the recording. We cover this presentation. All right. What does the Quran teach about Israel? I told you earlier, the word Israel is mentioned in the Quran 44 times. Let's talk about one of these times. Here, Quran chapter 5, verse 20 to 26, which, by the way, taken from the Bible. Muhammad was copied from the Bible and corrupting the Bible in his Quran, verses 13 and 14, chapter 13 and 14 of the book of Numbers. Here we go. Chapter 5 in the Quran, verses 20 to 26.
And when Moses said to his people, O my people, remember the grace of Allah on you when he made prophets among you, and he made you kings, and he gave you what he did not give anyone of the world. O my people, enter the holy land which Allah has prescribed for you, and do not turn away on your backs, so you will be turned back losers.
I do not read the Quran because I believe in the Quran, but I read the Quran because Muslims believe in the Quran. And when we read the Quran, we see how dumb is the Quran. It is a book of errors. That's why I put 2-volume books in my writings, The Revelation of Error, exposing the truth about the Quran, the revelation of error. As a matter of fact, every page in the Quran have an error. I challenge you to find me one page in these 6,000 verses of the Quran without error. For example, I'm going to just point to a few errors for the sake of time. Moses speaking here, guys, and he's speaking to his people, and he said, and he is Allah made you kings. How many kings exist in Moses' days? None. The first king is King Saul, who did not but few years, and then King David, and they were 500 years after Moses. There was not one king in Israel when Moses made that statement. That's a big boo-boo on the behalf of Muhammad, Allah, and Jibreel. He said what? Oh my people, notice here, it is Allah ordered Moses to order the Jewish people to do it. Not as the textbook said, it just came to their mind. They decided to go to the land of Palestine so they can steal the land from the poor Palestinians. All right. He said what? Oh, my people, enter the Holy Land. Excuse me, what? The Holy Land. Why Muhammad put the word Holy Land in Moses' days? Was the land in Moses' day called Holy Land? No, it was called the Promised Land. Why Muhammad say Holy Land? It's very simple. When Muhammad sees some of the Christian people going to Israel, he said, where are you guys going to? Oh, we're going to the Holy Land. Oh, where are you guys coming from? We're coming from the Holy Land. So Muhammad thought the name of that land is Holy Land. So when he started talking about Moses, guess what? He said, Moses said, oh, my people, enter the Holy Land. No, it enters the Promised Land. And by the way, Moses never said that. That these words is never been told by Moses. Let's continue with the nonsense Quran. Nonsensical Quran.
They said, O Moses, surely in it are powerful people, and surely we will not enter it until they come out of it. So if they come out of it, so surely we will enter. 2 men among the fearers, Allah graced on them, said, enter on them the door. So when you enter it, so surely you will be victorious. And on Allah, so depend, if you were believers.
When we read the Quran, we should laugh because it's comedy. It's one error after another, okay? All right, here we go. Here we go. They said, oh, Moses, surely in it are powerful people. Who is there? Verse 21, his people. Excuse me? The Jewish people said that? No. The 10 spies who did not believe said that. Not the Jewish people, as I'm going to show in the book of Numbers. And then they said what? Oh, we will not go there until they come out of it. Excuse me, if they are powerful people, are they going to say, okay, everybody in the land, let's leave because we're so powerful and we have to leave so the Jewish people can come to take this land? Does that make any sense? If they are strong, if they are powerful, why is they going to leave their land for anybody to take their land? But then they said what here? 2 men. Who are the 2 men? Allah knows who are the 2 men. No, I can tell you, I know who are the 2 men from the book of Numbers. And then he said what? Enter on them the door. Enter on them the door. What door? For heaven's sake, are you talking about a small city? Guys, you have to understand. For example, in Jericho, it's a small city. The Jewish people were able to go around it 7 times in one day. 7 times. That's Jericho. And there is doors there, okay? But the Promised Land is much bigger. As we're going to see in the book of Numbers, it will take the spies 40 days to check it out. is much bigger than Jericho. It's huge land. Mountain, valley, rivers. You cannot tell me there is a door there, okay? Muhammad does weird stuff. He actually put a window in the Holy of Holiness, which we know there's no windows there. And he put a door on the promised land. Wow. God help us. Let's move on to the last two verses.
They said, O Moses, surely we will never enter it as long as they are in it. So go, you and your Lord. So engage in war. Surely we are sitting down right here.
Yes, indeed.
He said, My Lord, surely I do not own anything except myself and my brother. So separate between us and the transgressing people. He said, So surely it is forbidden to them 40 years. They will be lost on the earth. So do not grieve on the transgressing people.
Once again, verse 24, like little children talk. We're sitting right here. You go, Moses, you and Allah go and fight, and then if you win, we will come. But then Allah said what? Surely. Surely what? He said, so surely, that's for certain, it is forbidden to them forever. It is forbidden to them forever. Do you see the word forever there? 40 years. So what happened in the year 41? According to the word of Allah in the Quran, Allah gave the land of whatever these people are to the Jewish people. That is a deed, a clear deed. The Jewish people do not owe any bank any money for that land. Who is the owner of the earth? According to Islam, we're reading from the Quran here, Allah. Allah can give his earth to whomever he wish. He gave that land to the Jewish people in the year 41. It's over. Clear deed. No Muslim should say that the Jewish people occupying their own land, which Allah Almighty gave to them. Who are the original people of the promised land? I know. In Genesis 18, God spoke to Abraham and he said, go, leave your land, Ur al-Kildanin, the city of Kildanin, Ard of Babel, the Ard of Iraq, and go to the promised land. There were some people living there. It was not an empty land, I know for sure. Who are the original people when Abraham was promised to get that land? The text books is very clear. Our lies in our text book said Abraham migrated to Palestine. You remember that? Abraham went to Palestine. Now let's see what the Bible said about the original people who live in that land. Genesis 15, 18 to 21.
On the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
We don't have, and the Philistinites. Because guess what? There was not any Philistine live in that land. There is no Philistinites, period. Here's all the people, the original people of the promised land. Can't we learn anything from that passage? Now, why God did not give the land to Abraham on the spot? It is yours. You live in it from now on. You don't have to go anywhere. It's yours. There's another problem, which is the problem of sin. Let's read what is written in verses 13 to 16.
And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom you shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
The people who live in that land, all these tithes people, which not one of them was Philistine, were sinful people. And God, as we learn from the Bible, does not like sin. And the sin must be punished by death. But God is also so patient that he waited patiently on these people for 4 more hundred years. 4 more hundred years to do what is right. And guess what? In the end of the 400 years, their sin was in full. Exactly like what happened in Noah's days. God punished the earth because the sin was in full. He flooded the whole world except for Noah and his 3 sons and 3 daughters-in-law and Noah's wife, 8 people. It's exactly like what God did in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. He actually burned 5 cities to the earth, to the dust. All the people there were burned. Why? Because of their sin. It's exactly like God did with these people here, and then later with his own Jewish people. When they sin, God punished them. The wages of sin is death. But God here was so patient, he waited 400 years to force them to sin. And by the way, this is also, there's so much prophecies here. When they left Egypt with great substance. They actually took my ancestors' gold and silver and all the good stuff. After all, they lived in our country for 400 years as slaves. So they have the right to come up with something before they leave my country. But that is the true history. So they left Egypt to the promised land with Moses. They went to Egypt with Jacob. Abraham went to the promised land. There is no Philistine. You will never see the word Philistine anywhere there, because reality, there was not one Philistinians live in that land. What about what the Bible teach about Israel? Quickly, I'm going to read to you the true biblical account which Muhammad copied and corrupted in his Quran chapter 5 verses 20 to 26, which is only a few verses. You can read the entire 2 chapter of the book of Numbers 13 and 14, and you read the full account. Right now I'm just quote you few verses. Here we go.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a leader among them.
Muhammad did not know names of any. He just said 2 men. If you keep going in the book of Numbers chapter 13, you give you the name of the tribe and the name of the guy who represents the tribe. 12 tribe, 12 men, they went to the promised land. When I read their names, you can read them on your own later. Here we go, verses 17, 19, 21.
Then Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said to them, Go up this way into the south, and go up to the mountains, and see what the land is like, whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, few or many, whether the land they dwell in is good or bad, whether the cities they inhabit are like camps or strongholds. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath.
Notice that Moses sent them to where? To the land of Canaan, not the land of Palestine. And I looked at this passage, and I looked, and I looked, and I could not find the door. Can you see the door? Can anybody see any door? Going once, going twice, no door? No door. Why? Because it's a huge piece of land. You're talking about mountains and valleys, rivers, south and north. I mean, look. And by the way, you go to the Bible, you see the wilderness of Zain. You see the as far as Rehab. You see the entry of Hamas. All these cities are still there. The Quran does not give me a name of a city. The Quran does not give me a name of a person. And when he give me names, they're always wrong names in the wrong country, the wrong century.
And they returned from spying out the land after 40 days. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men who had gone up with him said, We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we.
Who were the one who said that we cannot take the land because of it? But the men who had gone up with him, the 10 spies, not all the Jewish people. They never saw any land. They were sitting with Moses, waiting for the report of the spies.
Except for Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun, you shall by no means enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in.
Here we go. Joshua and Caleb, Caleb and Joshua, the 2 men which Muhammad, nor Allah, nor Jibreel, nor Muslim scholars knew who they were. Okay?
According to the number of days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, for each day you shall bear your guilt 1 year, namely 40 years, and you shall know my rejection.
What happened in the year 41? They took the promised land like that which is written in Quran chapter 5 verse 26. By the way, Israel is the only piece of land in planet Earth since creation until today which has these 2 clear deeds. Any other land, can anybody take it from anybody else? That land belonged to God so badly to the point that he made the covenant with them. They would never sell that land. Whenever the Jewish people sell or give away some land, God punishes them. And the countries which force the Jewish people to give some of this land are punished. Notice what happened in America when Mr. Bush forced them to take some of his land. It was Katrina. It was the same day. We give Israel, we give Gaza to the Palestinian by force against the wish of the Israeli people, and America was punished on the same day. All right, the true history of the original Palestinians. We know the Bible talk about the Palestinians, and I told you they are not the Arabs whom you watch on the news today. They are different people. I'm going to prove it to you 100%, not only from the Bible, but from the history of Egypt and also the DNA. You cannot go wrong with what I'm teaching here tonight. 100% solid information. Here we go. First of all, her name is Andrea. I like her a lot. You can go read her all her article. I just picked a few sentences of it. And the reason I liked her because she's in agreement with me. No, that's not true. The reason I liked her and accept her article because she is in agreement with the Bible. If you quote the Bible and you go with what the Bible teaches, you cannot go wrong. If you go on your own and do your own stuff, God help us, we're doing the wrong things. So here is what Andrea said.
The land of origin of the Peliset, later identified as Philistines, is obscure. There are many theories. One of the theories links the Peliset to the Homer Plagians, who were allies of Troy, and one group lived in Thrace, northeast of Greece. Those Philistines would have migrated south.
There are plenty of ideas out there. Many of them are wrong. One is right, which fit with the Bible. Okay? And now I'm going to prove it to you otherwise with other material. But she's telling us that these people, they're known to be Troy, or Thrace, or Greece, and they were migrating south. Where the Arab came from? They came from Saudi Arabia. So to go to the promised land, they have to go north. North and south are the opposite direction. So you cannot tell me, well, northeast and northwest. No, it is north and south. Arab came from the north, from the south to the north going up, and those people came from the north down south. Not just down south, it's actually even down more south. Watch this.
Many would have gone further south to Crete. Furthermore, since many biblical references refer to the Philistines' origins as the island of Caphtor, and since many scholars identify Caphtor with Crete, the idea more widely accepted is that the Peliset were originally Cretan.
You see? They go more south. So they're coming from Europe. They went to the island of Caphtor, Crete, and then they migrated more south. I'm going to show you the map. Who said that? Andrea. No, the Bible. I care less what Andrea says. What Usama says is not important to me. What's important is what real prophet said, Jeremiah, Amos, and Ezekiel. Let's look quickly to that which is written in the biblical account. Jeremiah, the prophet, said,
The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines before Pharaoh attacked Gaza. Thus says the Lord, Behold, waters rise out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood. They shall overflow the land and all that is in it, the city and those who dwell within. Then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall wail.
Notice the Bible always talk about water as a judgment. Flood is judgment. It's not to go fishing and have good time, okay? Now, here's the water coming from the north. These people whom God's going to send to the promised land have to be coming from the north, not from the south, okay? So, coming down from the north, who are these, the Philistines? When this happened? Before Pharaoh attacked Gaza. This is prophecy. Jeremiah is not writing something happened yesterday. Jeremiah is writing something is going to happen tomorrow. We don't even know exactly how it's going to be, but that's his prophecy. Not only is that the Philistines will be there from the north, but the Philistinians will be wiped out of that land, removed totally. Here we go.
At the noise of the stamping of hoofs of his strong horses, at the rushing of his chariots, at the rumbling of his wheels, the fathers will not look back for their children, lacking courage, because of the day that comes to plunder all the Philistines, to cut them off from Tyre and Sidon, every helper who remains. For the Lord shall plunder the Philistines, the remnant of the country of Caphtor.
Hello, that's good English, isn't it? God is going to wipe them out. And where they are, who are they? They are from Kaftor, not from Saudi Arabia. Let's go to Prophet Amos.
Are you not like the people of Ethiopia to me, O children of Israel, says the Lord? Did I not bring up Israel from the land of Egypt, the Philistines from Kaftor, and the Syrians from Tyre?
Where the Philistines came from? From Kaftor. Okay, one more prophet, Prophet Ezekiel.
Therefore, thus says the Lord God, I will stretch out my hand against the Philistines, and I will cut off the Cherethites, and destroy the remnant of the seacoast.
God will destroy the remnant. You know what's happening? I think Samson killed some Philistines. David killed a bunch more. And there was still a remnant. We need Nebuchadnezzar. How you say it in English, Brother Paul? Nebuchadnezzar have to go to that land to get rid of the remnant. And that's exactly what the history teaches us about the removal or the complete destruction of the Philistines, the original Philistines, the people of the north, the Kaftor people, the seacoast people. All right, here's one more from Ezekiel.
And they will take up a lamentation for you, and say to you, How you have perished, O inhabited by seafaring men, O renowned city, who was strong at sea, she and her inhabitants, who caused their terror to be on all her inhabitants.
How you have perished. They have the best navy ever known in these days. They were strong. They were used to fight on ships like they fight on earth. Solid, strong military, so powerful, and they were perished. They were completely destroyed. Let's go back to Andrea.
One of the most significant groups among the Sea Peoples who attacked Egypt in the 5th and 8th year of Ramses III is the Piliset. This ethnonym has been identified with the biblical Philistines by Jean-Francois Champollion soon after his decipherment of the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Now the Philistines settling in the towns Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and Gath at the time of the upheavals of the Sea Peoples.
I believe what happened is this. These people were looking for a better life. That's my personal opinion, and I'm 100% convinced with it. So they were living up north in Europe. It was a cold winter. They're looking for some better land. They built the ships. They were fighting. They found the island of Crete. So they are now in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. They kept going south. They found, the sweet, sweet water, the Nile of Egypt. And it's good dirt, the best dirt. Man, it's the soil of Egypt is very good. Say, why we not live here? We take over this country. Bad mistake. Why? Have they been to Egypt a few years earlier or a few years later? They were able, easy to invade my home country, Egypt. But they came to Egypt at the wrong time. Why? Because at that time, we have Ramses III. Ramses III is the best militant, one of the top great king we have in Egypt. He have the best ships, and he has the best armies. And you're talking about 200 and some years after Moses left Egypt. So he was a powerful guy, and he said, not on my land, not in my life. He actually went in war with these Palestinian people. He made shish kebab out of them so badly, he resettles them in these 5 cities: Ashdod, Asdod, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and Gath. He set them there, as we're going to read a little bit later from Andrea, under his supervision. He felt bad for them. He felt sorry for them. So here is the map. Watch with me in the map. Here is Greece, where I believe the true place for the sea people, the Kaftor people. Sea people because they were in the sea all the time. They have lots of ships. Here is Kaftor. He's the island of Crete. They came to Egypt. Here is Gaza. And the next 4 cities next to it, that's where Pharaoh resettles them after he made shish kebab out of them. That is the true history according to the Egyptian papyrus. This is not my personal opinion. This is Papyrus Harris. This is Egyptian history. That is what Ramses III asked his historian to write down. I mean, why is the guy will lie? Was he a Jew? No. Was he a Christian? No. Was he a Muslim? No, he was way, way before Judaism, way, way before Christianity, way, way before. I mean, you're talking about 1230, 1240 before Christ. Moses already lived Egypt for 200 years.
Ramses III fights against the Philisite both in the sea and in the land battles. In Papyrus Harris, Ramses III claims to have settled the vanquished sea peoples, among which are Philisite, or Philistines, in strongholds bound in his name. This has induced some scholars to assume that the settlement of the Philistines in Canaan took place under Egyptian supervision.
And notice where they were settling in Canaan, not in Palestine, because once again, it was not named Palestine until 150 AD. We're talking about 1200. We're talking about 1240, 1250 BC. Way, lots of years between.
After their settlement in the Philistine, the Philistines rose to a position of power in the region owing to their military superiority over the local population, as exemplified by the famous engagement between David and Goliath.
I believe, as I always call these Palestinians, the sleeping giant. Yes, they lost a big battle against Ramses III. Yes, they are now living in these 5 cities down south of the land of Israel, the land of Canaan, but it's in their blood. You cannot take it out of them. 200 years later, they start fighting with David, with Samson, and they start fighting with David, Judge Samson, and then King David, and we know the rest of the history, how David have great victory over all of them. Start with this Goliath, and what happened here in 1 Samuel 17:50.
So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in the hand of David.
That's when David was politely asked the Goliath, the true Philistinian, Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can I borrow your sword for a minute? Sir, you know what? Here we go. He cut his head off. That's exactly what happened. And then the Jewish people start fighting the Philistines, and they kill so many of them. Obviously, there was war all these years between those group and that group. And the remnant were demolished completely by Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar? How you say it? Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible when he came. And I believe here's my theory now. That's my theory. I don't have an evidence for it. When Nebuchadnezzar went to the promised land to take all the Jewish people to captivity, the 70 years captivity, which his prophecy must be fulfilled, he saw these Palestinians there. He said, wait a minute. Why do I leave these people? They maybe take over that land. Nuh-uh. I want to be able to continue to collect my jizya. I want to be controlled. That's why he wipes them out, not knowing that what he was doing is to fulfill the prophecies which were written by Jeremiah and Ezekiel, that these people have to be wiped out. The remnant must be wiped out, which means when Jesus was born, there was not one Palestinian there. Okay? They name it Palestina because of their hatred to the Jewish people, no more or less.